Hello everyone. Let's jump straight into a confusion I've seen for more than 25 years. In professional terms, project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. While a PMO is an organizational structure that standardizes and governs how project management is practiced across the organization. Now let me say that in very simple English. Project management is about running one project. A PMO is about running the system that runs all projects. One delivers work, the other designs how work should be delivered. You've probably seen this at the office. A project manager is busy meeting deadlines, handling risks, and talking to stakeholders. Meanwhile, the PMO is looking at the bigger picture and asking, are all projects following a sensible approach? So the key takeaway here is this. Project management is execution, and the PMO is the framework around that execution. Now that we've separated these two at a high level, you might be wondering how their roles differ day to day. And that takes us right into the next scene. Let's break this down further. From a professional viewpoint, a project manager is responsible for delivering specific project objectives within agreed constraints, while the PMO supports, guides, or governs multiple projects simultaneously. Stay with me here. In everyday terms, the project manager worries about today's work. The PMO worries about how work is done across the organization. You've probably seen this. A project manager asks, how do I manage this risk? The PMO responds, here's how risks are handled across all projects and here's what has worked before. I once saw a project manager struggling alone with a vendor issue. The PMO stepped in and said, we've seen this 3 times already. Here's the best way to handle it. That's support at a system level. So now that we understand the difference in responsibility, the next question becomes, who actually has authority over what? And that naturally leads us into the next scene. Now let's talk about authority. Professionally, project managers typically have authority over their individual projects, while PMO authority varies depending on its type and organizational maturity. Let me simplify that. A project manager usually has direct authority over their team and tasks. A PMO may have little authority, some authority, or strong authority depending on how it's designed. You've probably seen both extremes. In some organizations, the PMO only advises. In others, the PMO approves budgets, schedules, and even assigns project managers. I once worked in a company where the PMO had no formal power, yet everyone followed its guidance because it was helpful. In another company, the PMO had strong authority because consistency was critical. So the takeaway here is that authority is different, not better or worse. And once we understand authority, the next logical thing to explore is how PMOs and project managers measure success differently. Let's look at success measurement. Professionally, project management success is measured by meeting scope, schedule, cost, and quality goals, while PMO success is measured by consistency, value delivery, and strategic alignment across projects. Let me put that simply. A project manager succeeds when their project succeeds. A PMO succeeds when projects as a whole succeed. You've probably seen this mismatch. A project finishes on time, but the organization still feels overwhelmed. That means project management worked, but PMO effectiveness may be missing. I once saw 5 successful projects running at the same time, and the organization was exhausted. The PMO stepped in, reduced overload, and suddenly performance improved. That's a different level of success. So now that we see how success looks different, the next step is understanding how PMOs and project managers interact rather than compete. Let's clear up a big myth. Professionally, PMOs are not replacements for project managers. They are enablers that enhance project management effectiveness. Let me say that clearly. A PMO does not take a project manager's job. A good PMO makes a project manager's job easier. You've probably heard project managers say, the PMO is slowing us down. That usually means the PMO is not positioned correctly. A healthy PMO listens, supports, and adapts. I once saw a PMO introduce better planning templates and risk coaching. Project managers pushed back at first. 3 months later, they said, we don't want to work without the PMO anymore. That's partnership. So now that we understand PMO and project management work together, The final step is seeing the big picture of how both fit into organizational success. Let's bring everything together. Project management focuses on delivering individual outcomes, while the PMO focuses on creating a consistent, scalable, and value driven project environment. In simple words, project managers win battles, PMOs help win the war. After 25 years in this profession, I can confidently tell you this: organizations don't need to choose between PMOs and project managers. They need both working in harmony. So now that you clearly understand the difference between PMO and project management, their roles, authority, and value, you are perfectly ready to move forward and explore PMO structures, types, and operating models in more depth as we continue this PMI PMOCP journey. We are going to discuss PMO versus program management in details in next chapter.